Welcome to Fighting Stats, the ultimate channel for MMA fans who love statistics and betting breakdowns. I'm your host, Art C, and I'm here to get you ready for the upcoming UFC fights. In this series, I'll be watching tape and providing my real-time analysis on how I think the fights are going to go. I'll be watching for fighters' strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and overall strategies, pairing that with Fighting Stats' exclusive UFC stats not available anywhere else to give you a prediction on how I think the fights are going to go and ultimately who's going to win. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Fighting Stats. Welcome back to Fighting Stats. I'm your host Art C, and today we are going to be breaking down the fight between Payton Talbot and Nick Aguirre. Payton Talbot made his Contender Series debut there against Cortez Jr., winning that fight by unanimous decision. Nick Aguirre made his UFC debut against short notice against Dan Argueta, losing a unanimous decision. Now it's Payton Talbot coming into this fight here. I believe he's minus 800, so I did want to check some tape, see if it's warranted. What we saw in the Payton Talbot fight, let me just go back and pull it up. Not here. Payton Talbot. So Payton Talbot's drawing some comparisons to Sean O'Malley, 6-0, currently again on a 6-fight winning streak. Long rangey striker, 5 wins by KO, only 1 decision win. Again, that would be his last fight against Reyes Cortez. What we saw in the fight tape was that Payton Cortez, again, long, rangy, likes the 1-2, stays on the outside. I found that his jab was a little bit lazy. He throws it out there and drops it. His 2 was a little bit lazy, throws it out there and drops it. But he does like to strike. He's a little bit of a slow starter, and he is very hittable. We saw in all of his regional tape in the Uriah Faber's A1 combats against Fajardo, Jimenez, and Rivas. Those all opponents were able to land on him quite frequently, actually. Left hooks, mostly from the left side. It's basically because he keeps his jab out there, drops it down, and then he's in on, he's able to get countered. He reaches a little bit far on the 2 and able to get countered there. But he has a granite chin. He's able to take these big shots and continue to walk forward. So he's a forward pressure guy, hard to get out of there, good chin. Pretty, I'm going to say one-dimensional because he avoids going down to the ground. He wants to keep the fight standing. If he has his way, it's going to be a 15-minute boxing match, basically. Will stay on the outside. A couple of times he's knocked his opponents down and then just stood over him, didn't want to follow them down to the ground. A little bit of that is again, I call it showboating, but there's lack of urgency. I think he can run in there for the finish. He lets his opponents back up, and his opponents are close. We saw him one time against the Jimenez fight. I think let him back up, and then Jimenez get him deep into a guillotine, able to fight out of that. I think the Hector Fajardo fight, he let him up there, and Fajardo landed some big shots as well. So I'd rather see, if you are taking that Talbot side, him fight with a little bit more urgency, able to run in there, finish. If you do get the knockdown, finish him with some ground and pound, follow up on that. But he doesn't really do that. Maybe now because it's his UFC contract now, it maybe takes it a little bit more seriously. So that's just one of the knocks that I have on him. Just the urgency is not really there. He's very hittable. But again, he has a decent chin, so it sort of cancels each other out. Doesn't really want to do anything with the ground game. He does have some decent takedown defense. We saw him defend the takedowns against Cortez. 94% takedown accuracy or takedown defense from Talbot. Just wanted to see how many attempts it was, because it looked like Reyes there was attempting multiple takedown attempts. 1 of 17. Reyes Cortez, 1 of 17 in takedown attempts. Payton Talbot able to keep the fight standing for almost most of the fight. However, one of the issues that I find with Payton Talbot is he defends a takedown, he's getting back up, and then he gives up his back. And then as he's getting back up, his opponent tries to get in, not able to get the hooks in, but he gives up his back multiple times in multiple fights. Against the right matchup, against the right fighter, if you give up your back like that, you're going to be in some trouble. So he hasn't run into that problem yet, but it is a tendency that I see that I don't really like, in that he is giving up his back multiple times. If somebody's able to jump on there, throw in a body lock, I think he's in for some trouble there. So a couple of down things that I don't like is that he is hittable. He gives up his back a lot. A couple of things that I do like is that his forward pressure, he has a long rangy 1-2, hard 2 on that, granite chin, and great cardio. We saw not a lot of one-punch KO power. It's more of accumulation of strikes. A bunch of Payton Talbot's finishes comes in the second and third round. You see here round 2 KO, round 3 KO, round 2 KO, round 2 KO, round 3 KO. So more accumulation of volume there. Again, slow starter as well. Most of the times his opponents will be trying to grapple with him in the first round, and then just a grappling heavy fight in round 1 makes them slow down. Into rounds 2 and 3, because his opponents start to slow down, he starts opening up a little bit. He feels more comfortable. You'll see more head movement. You'll see more spinning attacks, things like that. So definitely a fighter to watch. I think he does have potential. I think he just has to fix a couple of holes in his game that I'm seeing right now. But again, he is fairly young and a lot of time to improve between fights. So it looks like he's trending upwards there. On the other side, you have Nick Aguirre. Again, he's coming in more of a submission guy, 7-1 right now, with his lone loss here to Dan Argueta when he made his UFC debut. Not a completely bad look. I think he was moving up in weight, and that was a short notice fight. But his strength of schedule, not bad, not great. A couple of 4-2, 2-1, 0-2, 1-1 guys. Bunch of first round finishes by submission. So I'm wondering how good is he really versus the level of competition. Dan Argueta not able to finish him. He came in. Dan Argueta I think was a minus 600 type favorite, went to the decision with Argueta, so I guess that's a feather in the cap. Again, taking that fight on short notice, but making it durable. Argueta went for the takedown a bunch of times, kept top control, not able to find the submission on top. I think in round 1, actually, Aguirre got Argueta's back for a little bit. Argueta able to defend. So that part was interesting because, again, Argueta, Aguirre comes in as the plus 490 underdog and gets Argueta's back in round number 1. I can see the same thing happening here against Payton Talbot. Payton Talbot, again, a slow starter. Payton Talbot, again, gives up his back multiple times. And Aguirre, the submission guy. So Aguirre, in the fight tapes that I've seen, he usually shoots for that takedown pretty early. If he gets it, he works the top control. He'll look for some chokes. He'll look for some back control. That's the way for Aguirre to win this fight, is he's going to have to get this fight down to the ground. He's going to have to control Payton Talbot on the ground. Can he submit him? Probably, maybe. We just haven't seen a lot of Talbot off of his back defending submissions. We saw him throw up an armbar, so I guess he knows what an armbar is, but normally he doesn't want anything to do with the ground. And on the flip side, Aguirre wasn't able to see a lot of stand-up from Aguirre either. From what I did see, didn't really like it. A lot of check right hooks in southpaw. Not a ton of power, moving back a lot of the time. So a lot of question marks. I'm going to try to fill in the blanks in terms of how I think the fight's going to go, just based on my assumptions. Not a lot of tape to go off of, but we'll go for it. So my fight breakdown, they're going to open up. Payton Talbot's going to open up in orthodox. Aguirre's going to open up in southpaw. Now, with the southpaw orthodox matchup, it's the straight 2 that is the difference maker, and Talbot has a nasty straight right hand. I can see that finding a home there. So I'm going to see Aguirre. He's going to stand there for a little bit. He's going to back up. He's going to throw a bunch of check right hooks, and then he's probably going to level change and shoot a naked takedown. Will he get it? It's possible he gets the takedown. He gets Payton Talbot down to the ground, and he actually gets Payton Talbot to his back. Going to be iffy here again. Payton Talbot minus 800 favorite, and you don't want to see him off of his back in round 1. I do think that the sub is probably live from Aguirre in round 1. If Payton Talbot is able to survive, keep the fight, at least survive, maybe keep the fight standing, I think in rounds 2 and 3 he can take over. But in round 1, the sub is definitely live for Aguirre. I think that's his best path to victory, and he's going to be looking for that quite often. Will Payton Talbot defend the takedown? Possible. Will if he does? Okay, so If Aguirre gets a takedown, he could win that round. He could find the submission in round one. That's all possible. But if he doesn't get the takedown, it's going to be all Talbot on the feet, defending takedown, sprawling, brawling, able to keep it. Aguirre probably eats the damage and survives to round two. Into round two, if that takedown wasn't there in round one, it's going to be so much harder in round two. Just the forward pressure to Payton Talbot's going to add up. As the fight goes on, that takedown is going to be harder and harder. We saw that in Payton Talbot's last fight there against Cortez. Again, Cortez going 1 for 17. A lot of those takedowns in the later rounds, not able to get it. So I do think that, again, if Aguirre gets the takedown in round one, he should find the sub, or he could find the sub. That's his best path to victory. In round two and round three, those takedowns come a little bit harder, and then that's the time for Payton Talbot to take over. Anytime the fight stays on the feet, it's going to be a Payton Talbot minute winning, getting the better strikes, landing at range. Again, Payton Talbot very hittable. I just don't think Aguirre's that guy to take advantage of him. I don't think Aguirre's able to push the cardio of Talbot either. So really, it's Aguirre looking for. I think he's going to be sub or bust. I guess it's possible if Aguirre gets the takedown early, rides out top control, wins round one, gets the takedown in round two, rides out top control, and then maybe loses round three, wins a close split decision sort of thing. I guess that's possible, but I think Payton Talbot will have more paths to victory, more TKOs, more decision wins. I think those are all in his repertoire. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to break down the stats here, going into the numbers here. I'm just going to clear my worksheet here. I'm going to say Talbot here is in the blue corner, and Aguirre, I'm going to butcher his spelling, Aguirre somewhere in the red corner. So I'm going to start with the Aguirre side because I think it's mostly sub. I think the TKO, if the TKO comes, it's probably from ground and pound. So I'm going to put maybe... let's say 5%. Talbot has a granite chin. I don't think any of the standing striking happens. Again, I think it comes from positional TKO if he gets the back and maybe some ground and pound. I think it's live there. The sub, Aguirre, again, this is a lot of question marks because we haven't really seen Talbot defend the subs much. Aguirre, that's his go-to. So I'm going to give him 15% to sub, and then to win by decision, I'm going to say it's possible. It's between 5 and 10%. We'll go on the high side. We'll leave it at 10% for now, see if I need to adjust it. On the Talbot side, I think he can win by TKO. I think it comes probably in the later rounds, rounds 2 and 3. I'm going to leave that around, let's say 40% for now. Wins by sub, I haven't seen it. Not really going to be possible. If it does happen, it's going to be probably pretty late. So I'm going to leave it at 0. Doesn't really attempt it. And then win by decision, I think it's possible. Aguirre probably pretty durable. Talbot doesn't have a ton of power on his hands. If Aguirre gets the takedowns in round one, then it's only really 2 rounds to go. I question Aguirre's cardio. Again, he came in on short notice in that fight, so not a lot to take out. I don't want to put a lot of weight on it, saying Aguirre has horrible cardio. But win by decision, I'm going to leave at about 60% there, or sorry, 20%. So I'm 60%, 30%. I'm off by 10, so I'm going to increase the decision by 5% there. I think that's accurate. Maybe the TKO up to 45% on the Talbot side. Actually, I'm ready. 40 to 30%. You know what? I think the striking defense of Aguirre is not really there. Wasn't really able to see much on the feet from Aguirre. So, sounds about right. Maybe another 5% or so. Aguirre wins by sub, wins by decision. I'd probably keep Aguirre somewhere around 25%. I'm trying to see where I can take the 5% away from. 15% to win by sub. Probably wins about right. Wins by decision. I'm going to leave it as is. So I have Talbot 45% to win by TKO, 25% to win by decision. I might take away 5%, but I think it's okay there. Aguirre to win by TKO, 5%. Again, I think it comes from ground and pound. I got to leave it. Can't be 0. Don't think it's really 10%. Win by submission, I have as 15%. That seems fair with the question marks that I have on Talbot in terms of the ground game. His ability to give up the back. I think Aguirre can win by rear naked choke. And then to win by decision, I think it's possible as well, just based on the top time, the grappling of Aguirre. If he can get a couple of takedowns early in round 1 and round 2, he can win a decision as well. So I think they're pretty close. If it's off probably by 5%. So total money line, I have it Talbot as 70%, meaning that his money line should be about minus 233. With the comeback on Aguirre at plus 233. Now I know the odds right now. Let me just take a look. Pulling up the odds. The last thing I checked was sorry, where did it go? Why am I not seeing it here? Payton Talbot minus 650 in some places, 800 in some places, minus 800 on DraftKings. I don't think you can lay that kind of juice. I don't want to put him in parlays. He's not proven to me yet that he deserves to be minus 800. Nick Aguirre, I know, is not the greatest, and he probably gets finished here. But for me, probably dog or pass unless you can find some good props to play. Looks like the over 1.5s are juiced pretty bad, but the fight to go decision inside the distance is pretty bad as well. Pretty funny there, actually, looking at the odds. The over 1.5 is minus 205, and the fight ends inside the distance is minus 210. So it sounds like the fight to end in round 3 should probably be about plus 100. But nonetheless, we are here. Again, I have a Payton Talbot probably around minus 200, minus 300. I don't think you can lay the juice. You might look into around 2-3 pops. You might look into fight does not go because Aguirre could probably get the submission. If not, then Talbot probably controls him, wins rounds 2 and 3. So that's how I would look at it. I'm not willing to lay the money line, but if you do get creative with some props, I wouldn't blame you. I think if live betting as well on the Talbot side is not bad, you might get into a situation where Aguirre shoots for a takedown, gets the takedown in round 1, and then Payton Talbot moves from a minus 800 favorite to maybe about minus 200, minus 150 at the end of round 1. Then I'd be loading up on that Payton Talbot side. So keep that in mind. I'll be watching for that live bet opportunity as well. And hopefully we get there. I'm going to see if we can find some creative ways. I'm definitely going to play some Talbot round 2, round 3 KO. I think that's his best path to victory. I may hedge with some Aguirre sub round 1 and then just avoid money lines altogether. I'm not confident enough to play the Aguirre dog price, and I don't want to be laying minus 800 on the Payton Talbot side as well. So if you are playing a money line, I think it's dog or pass. Otherwise, you're just able to pass or get creative in props. But in the end, that is my breakdown. That's how I see the fight going. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know if the prices seem off to you as well in the comments below. My name is Art C, and this is Fighting Stats. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. Okay, guys, well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe. You'll get notified anytime we put out new content. Again, my name is Art C. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Electrocute. This is Fighting Stats, the ultimate source for exclusive and in-depth MMA statistics and best bets. We'll see you guys at the window.